For April the 28th at 3 o'clock p.m., and the machine is open for roll call. Let the record reflect that all members are present, and that Mr. Sanders is here representing the administration. This time I'd like to ask us to all rise, and I'll say the prayer, and ask Mr. Newberry to say the pledge immediately following. We take this moment to acknowledge Almighty God and thank Him for our bountiful blessings, especially for the parish's natural resources. We give thanks to God for our brave and courageous men and women in our military who daily risk their lives to protect our precious freedom, and we pray for our world leaders to know how to obtain world peace. We also pray for the people of Ukraine, and that you provide a path to peace and to stop the senseless killings. We pray that this government body, comprised of both council and administration, will always serve our parish with honesty, humility, and equality to all. And as this government body gathers here today, we pray for the wisdom to know right from wrong and the courage to do that which is right. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. At this time, we'll move to item 2A.
Item 2A, receipt and discussion of attorney-client privileged communications in regard to potential and proposed acquisitions of Point Celeste Farms properties and the methodology to be employed. LRS 42:17A10, Attorney J. Kendall Rathburn, Commissioner Roussel.
So offered. Next or second?
Second.
Second by Councilman LaFrance. The machine's open. At this time, I've accepted 9-0. We'll move into executive session at 3:03. We come out of executive session at 3:33 p.m. without any final or binding action having been taken. We move to the next item, please.
Item 3, status report by the Executive Port Director.
We'll move on. He's not here. He'll be in shortly, I'd imagine. Move to the next item, please.
Item 3A, financial report, budget actual, move on. 4, bids and advertisements.
Are there any?
Yes, sir.
None. Move on, please.
5, introduction of ordinances and resolutions. I have a few. The first is for Commissioner Roussel, a resolution authorizing the Port Executive Director, Menard J. Sanders, for and on behalf of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to name and accept the proposal of the Plaquemines Gazette as the official journal for the Plaquemines Parish Council as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And the next are for Commissioner Gouy, an ordinance to amend the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District's 2022 revenue and operating expenditure budget, otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And the last is for Commissioner Gouy as well, a resolution authorizing Menard Sandy Sanders as Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to accept the work production acceptance which closes Phase 1 and the certificate of acceptance which opens Phase 2 per the MUSA contract obligations with sustainability partners, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that is it.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Would you like to go back to the status report?
Are you prepared for your status report?
Yes, sir.
Item 3, status report by the Executive Port Director.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, and members of the board. I am Sandy Sanders, Executive Director of Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District. Follows is my Executive Director's report for the reporting period of 15 to 27 April. During this time frame, I met with AP Moeller Terminal personnel involved in port and cargo automation, and I put them also with our folks that are pursuing the IT security grants. They have initiated a dialogue that will be mutually beneficial, and more to follow on this subject. Once again, we have met with civil service regarding our inability to hire and keep ferry deckhands and rescue boat engineers. We are bordering on mission failure and in jeopardy of cutting services, and we are severely strained with 16 vacancies in the two departments. we have, they did come back to us and increased it to level 14 and level 16, Christine. And so y'all will be voting on that today. Mr. Russell, do you want to opine on this?
When we get to that item, I will.
Okay, all right. Mr. Chairman, subject to your questions or comments, this concludes my report.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll move to the next item, please. Excuse me?
I got one.
Councilman Konovich?
Okay, excuse me. I wonder if the audience can ask a question to the director.
Sure, come on up.
Mr. Sanders. Sandy. On the tall grass property, there's 2 lanes going back. Who has the keys to those 2 locks?
There's 2 lanes going to the back, to the river,
Yep.
and it's locked. Marine inspectors, you want to give me a call, I'll coordinate and get it open.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Would you put update by PLT on the council, on the port agenda for the next meeting? And would you have an update on PLT because of the divorce clause coming into effect?
Yeah, Colonel Sanders, you're going kind of fast on me when you was talking about the ferry, and I heard you say mission failure, and then I heard you say something about level 14 and something about the civil service is not cooperating with you for deckhands. Can you say that slow so we can understand?
Yes, sir. Our problem is not paying these guys, it's getting them bumped up in the civil service. These folks are able to get other jobs at higher pay, and we're just having a hard time getting the folks we need. So we got 16 vacancies, and we have a lot of fellows that are doing overtime, and we're stretched thin. And there's many, many days that we barely just reach mission because someone has said, I'll volunteer or I'll cover down. And so it's been give and take.
So what's the problem with civil service?
Rev, let me say this. Hold up a second. The next item on the agenda, we are going to be voting on an item dealing exactly with what you're saying.
Okay.
So if you want to come back up at that time, we'll do that so we can move on. Next item, please.
Item 3A, financial report, budget to actual. There's nothing? Okay.
No
Items-
report.
Item 6A1, there is none. 6B, an ordinance to approve the amended civil service pay plan and classification schedule adopted by the Civil Service Commission on March 23rd, 2022, reallocating the classifications of rescue boat engineer and deckhand and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Roussel, and there are changes. On line 15, after the Archer Company put in, conducted a study and provided their recommendations. However, the port made a different pay request, and the Civil Service Commissioners reviewed and made a recommendation, which was voted to, and then strike out recommended to. And then the last sentence of that paragraph, strike out the proposal also recommended increases to maintain an equitable balance between the employees in these classifications as provided for in Rule 4, Section 3.11. And then the whereas right after that, after the number $30,006, strike out the rest of that. And then on Section 1, after grade 14, put a period and strike out the rest of the paragraph. And that is it.
And I'll offer next for a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bartholomew. So let me delve into this a little bit. What we did for the benefit of the audience and the rest of the members, we attended a first Civil Service Board meeting, and we requested the board to bring the salaries for starting deckhand pay to $15 an hour. They passed a resolution in what we thought was doing exactly what we had asked, and we thought that we had made a great deal of progress with the board. After the meeting subsequently, we were informed that because of the number of hours that the employees work, they actually were not going to be making $15 an hour. They were going to be making less. So we went back to the board meeting, and the administration attended, and they said basically that they were not able to move any further along with trying to get to that $15. What they did do, they issued this letter, and I'll read it to you. And it's a civil service based on Rochelle Lambert's letter. email dated April the 25th. And is addressed to Christie because Christie was making the request. It said, as per your request, please see below. The civil service merit-based system establishes a number of key principles, including equal pay for equal work, equal opportunity, ability-based employment, performance-based promotion, and accountability for results. Civil service can assist agencies in determining better methods for managing their workforce without the threat of political influence. This merit system provides cost savings and cost controls to the government by having a merit-based classification and pay structure for all classified employees. It is also important to work with the council and administration. While the commission applauds the efforts of Councilman Roussel and others in preserving or enhancing the parish ferry operations, admittedly a key parish service, we must be mindful of the remaining present and potential future employees who face 2014 wages. So what they did was they basically bought into the opposition at the Civil Service Board meeting by some parish employees that said that they were going to create a problem for the rest of the workforce. And so they took that position, and because they're not moving forward with the Archer study, because the government doesn't have the funds to fund the Archer study, whatever it may be, they are penalizing this department, in my opinion, because they want to say fair and equitable pay across the workforce. So we hold all of the ferry operators in abeyance because we don't have the funds to give the rest of the employees a pay raise. And that's what I get out of this letter. However, what we do have today before us is to move the reallocation of the rescue boat engineer from a pay grade 11 to a pay grade 16, and the deckhands from a pay grade 9 to a pay grade 14, which does give us a minimum salary increase from a salary of rescue boat rescue engineer. Starting pay goes from $25,732 to a minimum of $32,857, and a minimum salary for a deckhand of $22,882 to a minimum salary of $30,000. And it addresses the employees that are already there and moves them up a little bit. It doesn't get us to the $15 an hour, but it does get us some bit closer. And at this point, I feel we should adopt this and move forward and see what we get out of it. As Mr. Sanders had stated, you know, we'll take what we can get and we can see if we have to come back if it doesn't work. And that's where we're at today. But the Civil Service Board did not want to revisit this issue in their second meeting. After we discovered that we thought we had accomplished 15, we did not because of the hours worked by the ferry operator. And that's the best way I can explain it. It's been a frustrating issue. We did make some progress, and if you have any questions, we'll entertain them at this time. You have any more questions, Rev?
You know, and I'm trying to hold everything with me as a minister together because I've decided that I would try to use the church language, but there's many language I can say to the Civil Service Board, but I know it stinks, that's for sure. And I don't know who's behind this, but when I was hearing you read the letter, it sounds so political. It sounds so political. So I don't know who's political behind this, but I know it's a continual disgrace to the East Bank of the river. You know, we are suffering in this parish. We'll continue treated like illegitimate children, the East Bank, like we're not part of this parish. And look like every time we try to do it, getting worse and worse and worse. It's like, you know, we don't even exist. We don't even care, you know. And I don't want to get into it, you know, if Belcher really was being affected by this, I don't think we would have the problem. But unfortunately, Belcher is not affected by the ferry like the East Bank.
But Rev, but there is a big impact. Belcher's ferry closes at 5 o'clock.
I'm talking about the ferry closed, but it doesn't impact the people that live in Belcher.
Well,
that's what I mean. You know, it doesn't affect the people that live in Belcher. If there's something that really affects the people that live in Belcher, I'm willing to bet the Civil Service would give a different, and I'm standing on that, and I'm not moving from that. If Belcher would have affected, no intended to you, Mr. Roussel, but if Belcher was impacted by this ferry, we wouldn't even have this problem.
Thank you, I understand. Any further comments on the item?
If this passes, do that change the ferry schedule?
It will depend on if we can hire people at this new pay rate. If we cannot hire new people at this new pay rate, we're not any better off than we were before, except the employees that are on the payroll now will see some pay increase, and hopefully it'll retain them from quitting.
Because that's what the people really want. You know, they need a better ferry schedule, you know?
That's our goal.
Yeah.
Any further comments or questions?
Yeah, this one, and I think it is, what the problem is, we need at least two more schedules of people. And that'll give us the run at the time that we had proposed earlier, when the transition had take place to go back to normal running hours and during the week. And they need at least two more crews to get it done. And once that, then we can move forward. You
Gotta come to the mic.
You gotta come up.
Give a pint of blood, too.
All right. My name is Keelan Williams. I live at 16357 Highway 15 in Davent. I'm a member of the Atapaka Ishak Chayawasha that are in Grand Bayou. I came just to say I'm retired tugboat captain 20 years. So when I started 20 years ago, a deckhand's pay was $170 a day. So it's 20 years from past that date.
It's $250 a day today.
Right.
So we understand the problem. I would suggest that anyone who knows anybody on the Civil Service Board, call them.
Fire 'em.
We can't. Call them. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, machine is open. And the ordinance is adopted 9-0. Next item, please.
Item 6C, a resolution requesting an Attorney General's opinion in regards to issues related to the contractual relationship between sustainability partners in the Plaquemines Port, Harbor, and Terminal District, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Roussel.
May I offer next for a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember LaFrance. Are there any questions, comments? What this does, it asks the Attorney General to look at the contract to determine whether or not it's a loan or if it's something other than a loan. Hearing nothing? Machine is open. Resolution's adopted, 8-1. Councilman Black votes no.
Vote no.
Abstain.
Abstain, excuse me.
Item 6D, a resolution authorizing the Executive Port Director to enter any and all state entity agreements between the Plaquemines Port, Harbor, and Terminal District and the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development and/or Federal Highway Administration, which are or will be necessary to secure state and federal funding for ongoing transportation-related projects, and otherwise to do all things necessary and proper to sign, effect, perform, and enforce those agreements, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Roussel, and this has changes as well.
Everyone have the changes that were sent to you? They were all emailed out? They were all sent to you. What we have done is on line 5, we've inserted the ferry ramp replacement project to clarify that. And on that same line, we deleted ongoing. On the next line, transportation-related projects. On line 16, we are inserted after the word terminal district for the ferry ramp replacement project, and on line 17, inserted the word which, and on 21, at the end of the line, inserted the word and on 23, it inserts this paragraph, whereas on April 12, 2022, the Regional Planning Commission's Transportation Committee adopted a resolution authorizing the transfer of direct receipts status from Plaquemines Parish to Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District, as well as all the regulatory responsibility assigned by the FTA to holders of this status. On line 36, after the word funds for, we inserted the word ferry ramp replacement project along, and on line 37, project along with. At the end of the line, we inserted the words for this, and on 38, project. What we did was we mirrored the Regional Planning Commission resolution that was adopted on that date to coincide with what we've done at the Regional Planning Commission. And it says, without reading it, if you'd like a copy of it, we'll have the secretary send it to you. But it's a Regional Planning Commission resolution that did the same thing, that redirect the recipient of the 5307 funds, Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District, will be legally eligible under the federal transit law to apply for and receive grants directly from the FTA in support of the public transportation operating, planning, and capital activities related to the ferry crossing. So we transferred this authority as well as through the regional planning, and now we're doing it here. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them all.
I thought we had the funds to do the ferry ramp.
Excuse me?
I thought we had the funds to do the ferry ramp.
We do have the funds to do the ferry ramps, but now that we're transferred them to the Port Authority,
Okay.
we are transferring the authority for the federal funds that we are using for the ferry ramps to the Port Authority for their authority to be able to use it.
Okay.
So it's just taking it away from the government and giving it to the port, and there's mechanisms to have to do that. We went through the Regional Planning Commission, now we're doing it through this body.
That's the right way to do it.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions on the item? Yes, sir.
The only question there, is you talking about both ferry ramps or just per last ferry ramp?
No, we're talking about
Ramps.
We're talking about, this will give the authority for the ferry ramp replacement projects that are ongoing, which right now they're the West Point Lahash Ferry Ramp project, but it'll in the future give us the authority to apply for grants.
Okay, that's why you're saying ferry, okay.
Through the ferry process. Any further comments or questions on the item? Hearing none, machine is open.
Need a second, please.
Second.
Thank you.
Second by Councilmember LaFrance. We didn't have a second? Okay. Machine's open. Did all that discussion with no second. Sorry about that. And the resolution is adopted 9-0. Next item, please.
6E, a resolution acknowledging climate change as a threat to both Plaquemines Parish residents and the parish's economic interests, expressing the Plaquemines Parish Council's intent to take measures to enhance community resilience to hurricanes and storms through the support of coastal restoration and hazard risk mitigation programs, expressing the Plaquemines Parish Council's support in incentivizing the development of solar and wind projects as part of the parish's broader economic development plans, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Blink.
To offer it as read.
Second.
So what this does is this opens up Plaquemines Parish to businesses that are looking to get into the sustainable energy industry. We have a lot of vacant land along the river. We have a very qualified workforce that has a lot of experience in the oil and gas industry that could pivot into some of these new industries. We have a pioneering spirit here that is going to get us through some of these challenges. It also acknowledges some of the things that we've seen. There's a major hurricane that makes landfall here every year now. That's it.
Any further comments or discussion on the item? Councilman Konovich.
Yes, I'm for helping out, but when I introduced one for the drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, you was against it. And like I asked you, I wanted to see your outboard motor that runs on fairy dust and your truck that runs on unicorn pee. Because the business you got, you using all. And it's not going away tomorrow or the next day. But here you want me to support this, but you wouldn't support drilling in the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, I appreciate those comments, Commissioner Kognovich. And the thing is, this is, one of the ingredients needed to bring about that transition. We can't just snap our fingers and go to something else that might be more sustainable. A lot of experts say that some of the industries that we have here are contributing to global climate change and some of the problems that we're facing, like these repeatedly frequent hurricanes that are repeatedly powerful. The thing is, there's been a lot of oil and gas activity here. There's been a lot of oil and gas activity in South Louisiana. Since the 1930s, 10,000 miles of pipeline canals have been cut here. That industry didn't always clean up its mess or repair some of that damage. In my eyes, further development in the Gulf, maybe would make things a little bit worse. Here it is, we fund coastal restoration projects through a funding mechanism called GOMESA, the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act. A friend of mine equated
Where they
that
get
to,
the money, where they get that money from?
a friend of mine equated
Oil
that
and
to
gas
funding
revenue?
funding your gym membership with proceeds from a pie eating contest. It might not make a lot of sense. But, we're dealing with these impacts first and foremost here in Plaquemines on the coast. And I mean, this is just a bit of a litmus test, where is the parish council on this? Are we paying attention? Are we willing to take advantage of new opportunities or not? And, I respect your opinion either way.
I appreciate it, and when can I see the electric outboard motor?
Those exist. They're just very expensive right now.
All right. Any further comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, is that an economic development program?
We'd like it to be. We just want to signal that, we're open to those types of industries coming here and,
Well, I
and
was-
being alongside of the existing industries.
So which council member is over economic development? You?
Everybody,
Any one of you?
in theory, we'd like everybody to be supportive of bringing things to the parish.
So I would like for you not to bring in outside businesses. I would like for the local people to get into solar farming and the new green stuff for our own local people instead of bringing in some outside people. Let them learn and start solar farms so they can get some of the money in the parish. Start a local neighbor next door program to where the poor people from the community could buy up the lots instead of selling them off to rich companies. That's all I have to say.
Any further comments or discussion on the item?
I do.
Ms. Newberry. Mr. Blink, you complete?
I'm finished.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm struggling with
Hold
this resolution
Hold on.
myself.
Trudy, let me try to get you up here. There you go.
Mr. Blink, it's funny how you didn't support the oil and gas industry. We absolutely need thousands of gallons of oil to operate these these windmills. So we absolutely need oil and gas. As far as solar, you're dealing with a lot of batteries that get into our earth, that puts holes in our earth. So that's not good. Also, these projects are subsidized, where the oil and gas industry isn't. The oil and gas is, they contribute to the federal government, they contribute to the state, they give us jobs. I'm not against green, I'm all for it, I'm all about planting trees and doing the right thing. Sometimes I just wish you would have supported our side so we can support your side. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and Mrs. Newberry, I've sitting behind the dais here for more than 3 years. I don't think I've ever denied an oil and gas permit. So to say that I have not been supportive of the industry is absolutely a stretch. And the thing is, there's always impacts from any industry, right? If you for battery storage, right, you have to have a strip mine for lithium. But this is just saying that we want to broaden our economic footprint here, take advantage of new technologies, new trends that are happening all around the world, and we would be foolish to say to any business.
And we also want to broaden our energy that we have here, right here in the Gulf, and you voted against it. So,
Yeah, Trudy, because there's impacts that are just repeatedly never addressed here. The canals that we have here that have allowed, water to come lapping up right to your district now every time the weather gets bad, that haven't been filled in by that industry. There's just they haven't exactly come to the table looking to restore damages that have happened here. And
let me ask you something, Mr. Blank. So
One at a time, please.
We start putting if we're putting windmills in the Gulf of Mexico when these hurricanes come, are they not going to fall down, just like oil rigs do? I mean, is that going to impact the Gulf of Mexico?
I don't understand your point, Mrs. Newberry. I mean,
So when a hurricane comes and we have all these windmills in the Gulf of Mexico and they start falling down from hurricanes in the path of a hurricane, who's gonna pay for that?
well, I don't know. Certainly, they're not going to leak something like 50 million gallons of oil like the Deepwater Horizon did when they fall over. There's one thing there. And look, I don't really want to get into debate about it, but
I yield.
are you for inviting companies that have technological advancements that are being installed all around the world, or are we going to put our collective heads in the sand and say no?
I don't have
we are
I don't
stuck with
have,
black stuff that
I don't have a problem with that, but that's being subsidized from the federal government. I think, it's something that maybe Elon Musk might have interest
New
in.
Orleans just signed an agreement with a company from Germany to look into this, so.
I mean, there's wind turbine blades that are being hauled up the river almost weekly now. They're being built in Brazil. Those are jobs that are literally being pushed by here. We could have a hand in what is becoming an energy revolution. And we invented offshore energy extraction in Louisiana. The first wells were in Caddo Lake. They were connected to the shore by 40-foot platforms. And we did that with our pioneering spirit. We figured this out here, and we exported it all around the world. A lot of the inventions that had to do with oil and gas were originated in Louisiana. The jackup barge, drilling techniques, the first floating platform. We did all of those here. And we're letting the Europeans kick our behinds on this. And I mean, this is hopefully this council saying we are open to new entities coming here to explore these possibilities. And we're open-minded enough to say, you know what, let's try this here. I yield.
Any further comments? Yes, sir.
Yes. Richie, the way it look right now, you may lose on it, but I'm gonna tell you, as a man, it's coming, man, and I hope it passes. Climate change is real. People, look, we've been making money off the earth for many, many years. We just throw all the money away. But eventually, we don't have any more. But reality always gonna sit in. These guys might vote against it, but they're dinosaurs. The younger generation, man, they're not gonna have anything. Somebody got to start doing this, man. And it takes time, but somebody got to start doing it. Somebody got to initiate it. It needs to start.
Thank you. Councilman Black.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Roussel. I wasn't going to comment, but I just want to chime into this conversation because I think it is an important conversation, but I think it goes a little bit deeper than what we're talking about right here. I'm not going to support this resolution, not because I am not a proponent of renewable energy or new energy or clean technology, et cetera, but because I don't think we need a resolution to acknowledge that the parish is open for business. I think we keep going back and forth on this conversation on whether we're open for business or not. And I think we really need to take a look in the mirror as a council and say we're open for business or not. Because we've gone through 7 years, at least that I've been here, where we go back and forth on different businesses. We should be sending a message, whether it's through the administration of the port or the administration of the government or the council, to truly be open for business universally, not just for one particular industry or one particular brand, et cetera, and have that message. So, I would like to see something a lot broader than this to really send a message, and I think the council needs to take action when businesses do come forward to be able to truly say that we're open for business. So that's all I have.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I to Councilwoman Newberry and to Councilman Hobo, I just want to say that Councilman Blank have did a terrible job in terms of this presentation, and I heard you say because it's a pass vote, but he's not really initiating this. There's several citizens who called me that was coming here today to really push this, who was really behind this resolution. So I want to really put that up front because I believe that it need to happen. I wasn't one of those people, but I'm a firm supporter of climate change to testify for Congress. So I just hope we really look at what climate change means, and it's not just about the windmills or the thing that Councilman Newberry talked about, being in the Gulf falling down, because we see them all along the West Coast where it's really working. And so we don't want to make that climate change that's just around the windmill. Climate change is much more than that. So I hope that you all would forgive Mr. Blank, Councilman Blank, for not voting on your past resolution, because this is not about him. This is about the citizens of this community. And I think it's a shame to penalize citizens of a community because the council member didn't vote for another councilman. I just think that that's a bad signal. So I just hope that this council as a whole will really look at the need for climate change. And I heard with a part of what Mr. Black said, I'm not totally in agreement with it. Some things he's saying like I might could live with it, but it's the way he said it. But I just think we need to really look at it. I think the council need to be in the business, about climate change, however that happens. So I hope that if you're not supporting this, that you come back with something. So citizens can know you could be on record of supporting climate change. Because it's real, it need to happen. We never heard of tornadoes in St. Bernard Parish being this close to us, but it happened. Plaquemine could be next. So there's a lot of things that have something to do with climate change, that we're not aware of. My grandmother, my grandfather used to go as a kid, can look at the dew on the ground and tell what the weather is. We can't do those kind of things no more. They can plant. They were planting their garden based on their understanding nature the way, but it has changed. Climate change is real, and I just hope that, and again, I think Mr. Blank did a bad job in terms of the way he brought this up, and y'all know Mr. Blank, he have his ways. But this is not about Mr. Blank. There's a lot of people who wanted to be here, but they was told that this meeting was canceled, because they called me. And so I just want to say that they were letting you know that this is not Mr. Blank, it's something that they want to do. And some of the people up from West Pearl had, they called me on the way here. So again, I just want to put that out there for whatever is work.
Reverend Edwards, now, I've done no organizing with any people on this, any citizens on this. This is something that I consulted experts about. If they've done some organizing, I was not aware of it. And so I think
So citizens didn't ask you to put this on the agenda?
No, sir.
Are we on the same item? Make sure we're on the same item.
I'm leaving that alone. I'm leaving that alone. It's just that some folks called me and said, look, Mr. Blank is introducing a resolution. We can't come down there to talk on it because the meeting was canceled. So I don't know if the meeting was canceled.
Well, Mr. Blink might want to defer it till those people can come down and talk on it.
That's all I'm saying. I was hoping to defer it so other people can come, really talk on it.
You know what? And we'll do that. We'll defer that and see what the citizens have to say about it.
Item E is deferred. Next item, please.
Item 7A, introduction of resolution,
Oh, I'm sorry, we had one more person that wanted to speak on it. I'm sorry. Before you defer it, would you let this lady?
I'm Stacy Madison. I live at 175 Riverbend Drive in Belchase. I wanted to point out that there's actually a lot of research going on, especially in Europe, about how wind arrays offshore actually take some of the power away from the hurricanes, and that this is really something we should probably consider and do more research on. And if we could be on the forefront of that, there's endless possibilities for money-making opportunities for the parish, but also to reduce the risk and mitigate future issues. If that really is true, I don't see any harm in putting up a small wind farm somewhere off the coast. And honestly, it makes sense. And there should be a marriage of new energy sources with the old energy sources, because these are finite. They're not going to be here forever. They need to be married in with the new things. And if we could be on the cutting edge of the new things, then we can actually profit and continue on our legacy of being an energy producing economy. Thank you.
Are there anyone else in the audience that came for this today? If not, you wish to defer, Mr. Blank?
Yep. Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item 7A, introduction of resolutions where suspension is being sought. There is none. 8, approval of the April 14th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
So offered. Second by Councilman Alborough. Any comments or discussions on the adoption of the April 14, 2022 regular meeting minutes? Hearing none, machine is open. And the minutes are adopted 9-0. Have a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Conovich to adjourn, second by Ms. Newberry. Machine is open on adjournment. And meeting is adjourned 9-0 at 4:11. Thank you all.